RK's Guyana Free Media presents for human development and national development this message.
Yes, dearest friends and family, welcome to part 45 of RK's Guyana Free Media Elections Update, the Guyana Madness. Share with your family and friends, get the message out. I make light commentaries, but I read you directly the article for those who can't get it and who like to hear a reading. Friends and families around the world, this one here, that is taken from the Chronicle newspaper. Government will accept, the Chronicle newspapers or the government newspaper, Chronicle will accept results declared by GECOM chair by staff reporter. His Excellency President David R. Granger greeting, chair of the Guyana Elections Commission, Justice retired called in Singapore, his arrival at the Arthur Chung Conference Center, the venue of the national recount. And this is they will try to get a photograph into what I'm telling you here, Ministry of the Presidency photo. But my friends and families, what I want to say is one has to be very careful when one listens, because there seems to be a lot of political game going on with this statement. The president is making the statement because of statements that were made by other ministers or acting ministers, and he's trying to correct the situation and the reality of it, what they have done, the damages that they have done. But what is disturbing and concerning to my opinion is that the ministers of a government will make statements contrary to the understanding and the knowledge of the president, and sometimes a very controversial one that creates a lot of pain and disharmony in the society. And it shows that they have many presidents in the APNU AFC and not really President David R. Granger. They are causing that. The gentleman, most times he tries to be a gentleman, except for when it comes to the hardcore politics. And we know what politics does to human being. But it is disturbing when they will make statements and then the president had to come out. He realized it was necessary to come out and correct those statements, those vicious statements. But what is disturbing, to my opinion, in this article and the photographs that are shown in the newspaper here on Stabroek News front page, can you zoom into it? And here on Kaicho News, the front page, and here in the Chronicle, Guyana's government official mouthpiece, President meets the chairman of GECOM and so forth. Friends and families, as you can see from the photographs, how can the president, this is politics, right? Because I always say politics have a way of taking away the sanity of humans. Politics have a way of creating hate and pain, disharmony and war in a nation. How can a man like His Excellency, a man that I respect, you know, I wrote him many letters and he always replied to me. That personally, many times he signed his own letters. So I salute him for that. But how can he sit in a meeting like this at the recount center with only his people, the party people, and the GECOM senior staffers? There is something called, in Guyana, an elections commission, in which not only the chair sits by herself, she has 3 from the PNC or the APNO AFC and 3 from the PPPC. Friends and families, ladies and gentlemen, here you have President David Arthur Granger, Chairman or Chairperson, retired Claudette Singh, Justice, looks like a clerk next door there, Joseph Harman, the Deputy CEO of GECOM, Mrs. Amna Ali, another lady there whose face I can't recognize, CEO of GECOM, and the HR of GECOM, but nobody else. This is cause for worry, and I honestly believe that His Excellency the President made a mistake there. Or it's a part of the political style of doing things to keep people out. I don't believe there was any big secret there, but it was maybe a subliminal attempt to influence the minds of the senior people of GECOM, who many people are already suspicious of. We've seen a turnaround from the Ashman's recount and the headquarters recount, or the Ashman's count and the headquarter count, and in the recount we've seen a reversal of behavior or attitude which some people believe it's only putting wool over the eyes and fooling the public. So the public out there, the people, are observing and watching to see what is going to happen. So, friends and families, I think His Excellency, being a human being, not a god, he erred tremendously here, politically, tactically, to the opinion of this simple, poor, not very wise political analyst. I don't think I'm any kind of a political analyst. I'm just a commentator a reader and a commentator to basic levels. And we go to the article from the Guyana Chronicle. President David Granger, in reiterating a long-held position, said his government will accept the result of the general and regional elections when it is declared by the chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission, Justice retired Claudette Singh. As President of Guyana and as leader of the government, it is my policy that any declaration coming from the chairman of GECOM will be accepted by the government of Guyana. I speak for the government of Guyana, the head of state said. A quick commentary. When he was being questioned by the reporters yesterday, he made it quite clear that even though Basil Williams, acting Attorney General, and Patterson, acting Minister of Social Infrastructure, who Patterson and Williams, I know, are very desperate to maintain power. Very desperate. The power and whatever goes with being in power is very important to them, and particularly him, David Patterson. The President answered and said, when he was questioned what this one said and that one said, the President answered, well, I am the head of APNO, I am the, words to this effect, I am the President of the country, I am the leader of government, and what he says is that he will accept the results. My question is why he went and had a secret meeting with the senior people of GECOM and only his senior people. That is my question that is bothering my head and many people in this country, and leaders and citizens in the diaspora and leaders around the world. At the time, he was responding to a series of questions posed by journalists during an interview at the National Aquatic Centre on Sunday following his visit to the Artichoke Conference Centre, where the national recount of the votes cast on March 2020 general and regional elections is being conducted. In putting to rest in contentions by the opposition, President Granger, who took office in May 2015, when a Partnership for National Unity and Alliance for Change, APNU and AFC, brought an end to the People's Progressive Party, 23 years reign in office, said the declaration of the result by the chairman of GECOM will be regarded as legitimate and in accordance with the Constitution of Guyana. As the national recount enters the 13th day, President Granger, while acknowledging the independence of the Elections Commission as a constitutional authority, said it is not for him to preempt the decision of GECOM ahead of the completion of the recount. I cannot speculate about an outcome for which I am not aware, the head of state told the journalist, while adding, I cannot envisage a situation in which I would encounter or ignore the rulings of GECOM. And this is precisely the gentlemanly personality that I always see in Mr. Granger, or President Granger, still His Excellency. And so this is what I'm saying. He cannot do anything contrary to proper procedure and law, even though some things were done, like appointing Patterson as the chairman of the Elections Commission and so forth. But this is the Granger that I seem to think and know and understand somewhat. He cannot allow himself, particularly, I think, because of the threat of sanction, not only on the leaders and the minister, but their families as well, where it hurts and stings. But I have faith in him. I'm going back again now. President Granger iterated that he, like the rest of Guyana, has little choice but to wait a formal declaration of the results by the chair of the Elections Commission. It has been more than 2 months since more than 500,000 Guyanese went to the polls, and the result is pending. We are now in our 3rd month. Don't refer to 2 months anymore. Commentators, anyone who are analyzing, it is now, we are in our 3rd month, in what is the beginning of the 3rd month, which is unheard of in the history of the world. I've always said I will await the declaration of the chairman of GECOM, and I will await the declaration of the chairman of GECOM. I cannot say what GECOM will determine. That's why we are here at the Artichoke Conference Centre and the Aquatic Centre, to await the completion of a process committed to the recount of the ballots that were cast on March 2nd, the head of state said, while emphasizing that he cannot and he will not speculate about the outcome of the recount. It was President Granger who, despite leading the electoral race by more than 7,000 votes, agreed to a national recount. Legal actions filed by PPPC through a private citizen, Riaz Hollander, over allegations that the Region 4 returning officer Clairman Mingo had not complied with the representation of the People's Act in tabulating the statements of poll for his electoral district. On March 14, 1 day after Mingo had declared the results for Region 4 for a 2nd time, President Granger agreed to a national recount based on an intervention by the chair of the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley. The President and the leader of the opposition, Bharat Jagdeo, subsequently signed an aid memoir, agreeing to the national recount under the supervision of CARICOM. The word supervised that posed a number of other legal challenges, which landed the electoral process in the court for a 3rd time, and resulted in a group of CARICOM high-level officials withdrawing from the process the same day the recount was slated to start. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the drama, this is the drive, this is like an action-packed movie taking place which is reaching epic proportions, like an international epic movie like the Ten Commandments and Ben-Hur. However, the courts ruled that the Elections Commission under Article 162 of the Commission of the Constitution and Section 22 of the Election Law, Amendment Act of 2000 had the opportunity to facilitate the National Recount. The Court of Appeal, however, in establishing the independence of GECOM, was keen on noting that the Elections Commission is the sole authority responsible for the supervision of the elections in Guyana. President David Granger, addressing journalists at the National Aquatic Centre following his visit to the Artichoke Conference Centre, the venue of the National Recount photo. To proceed with the National Recount made it clear that while it will supervise the recount, CARICOM will scrutinise the process, a commentary. And I think this is because they are trying to save themselves from the no, it's already decided. It's only to be made into law in the United States of America by a pronouncement. And they are afraid of sanctions. And that is why they're trying to make it clear that they're protecting themselves. That it made it clear that it will supervise the recount. CARICOM will scrutinise the process. The CARICOM high-level delegation, which includes the senior lecturer at the University of the West Indies, Cynthia Barrow-Giles, Commissioner of the Antigua and Barbuda Electoral Commission, Joan Jarvis, and the supervisor of St. Vincent Electoral Commission, Sylvester Keaton, arrived on May 1st. And 5 days after May 16th, the recount of the votes cast in the General and Regional Elections Commission commenced at the Conference Centre. The roles of GECOM and CARICOM were embedded in the gazetted order which brought into legal effect the recount. In the 8 whereas clauses detailed in the order, the Elections Commission justified its decision to facilitate the national recount, explaining that while general and regional elections were held in Guyana on March 2nd, 2020, the electoral process encountered a number of stumbling blocks, and in some instances parts of the process were legally challenged in the courts. It explained that though the declarations of the results were made in accordance with Section 84 of the Representation of the People's Act, requests for recounts in a number of electoral districts were rejected, aborted, or held in abeyance. Further to that, a report detailing the results of the elections was submitted to the chairman of the Elections Commission, but that too was held in abeyance, and aspects of the election process challenged in the court. Given the challenges that arose, GECOM took note of the fact that President Granger and the opposition leader agreed to a CARICOM proposal for a total recount of all electoral districts as a means of assuaging the contesting parties and determining a final credible count in keeping with the general consensus among the political parties. The Elections Commission initiated the national recount. President Granger from the outset made his position known that he will accept the results of the elections as declared by the chair of GECOM. I have said repeatedly that I shall accept the declaration of the results by the Election Commission, which will allow for a democratically elected government to be sworn in to office. The head of the state said hours after the Elections Commission had gazetted the order, Guyana government denies U.S. Embassy's request for a 7th relief flight. This is another article, dearest friends and families around the world. I bring you this information for your understanding, for us to understand, for the people to know who can't always get the newspapers and who like to have a voice that can speak and read and give a commentary on the truth. Friends and families, your friend, your brother, me, Haji Roshan Khan, saying thank you and farewell, friends. Thank you for tuning in again to this RK's Guyana Free Media. Remember your masks. Remember to sanitize and don't take chances with your life.